Diamondbacks talking with a lot of teams. Checked in this morning. There was nothing that was about to happen, but they are working on a lot of different things. People are making a lot of suggestions. Saw a story in The Athletic that mentioned 6 MLB trades I'd like to see happen. And this name keeps coming up, and it's Jordan Montgomery. Cardinals trade Jordan Montgomery to the D-backs for right-handed pitcher Dylan Ray, outfielder Wilfred Patino. And they mentioned, Ray was a 4th-round pick out of the University of Alabama. Patino, blazing speed, 67 stolen bases and a minus last year. He's got 41 this year. He's between rookie ball and high A. So you get a rental player in Jordan Montgomery, you give up a couple of prospects, and you try to solidify that 3rd spot in the rotation. That's a name that's come up probably. I mean, would you agree that name's come up more than any other name as far as starting pitchers concerned?
Yes. The D-backs having an interest in Giolito obviously came up last week. Obviously, he's off the table now. Jordan Montgomery comes up now. The difference between Giolito is we got it from both the D-back side and the White Sox side, me and you, that the Diamondbacks were making calls on Giolito. The Montgomery reports are more media speculation that this would be a fit. Now, Gambo, I know you can work the phones and see if the D-backs are making calls on Montgomery, but it would be a fit, right? He's a left-handed pitcher, much like Giolito we talked about last week, slides perfectly into that third spot. Role. He's a rental guy, so you don't want to give up too much for him, but certainly that's a fit. That's a fit. There's no question about it.
Right.
And like Torey told us last Friday, and this is not breaking any news, but Torey would love to bring in a veteran guy to put in there after Gallen and Merrill Kelly go. As good as Tommy Henry and Nelson have been, he would love to have a veteran, a guy that maybe you have a little more confidence in to put out there every 5th day.
Yeah,
in that 3rd role.
And they do like him. So the Diamondbacks are interested in Jordan Montgomery. Okay, they are interested in Jordan Montgomery. That's a guy that they are looking at. Problem is other teams are looking at him too. He might be the easiest guy that they could get as far as starting pitcher because he's a rental. He's not a superstar. He's not an ace. He's not a number 2. He's a number 3. So you wouldn't have to give up as much prospect-wise for him. So even, in this article by Bowden in The Athletic, they just mentioned, they mentioned Ray. They mentioned Patino. I don't know where they slide in as far as Diamondbacks prospects, but that's what they say. You get a 30-year-old lefty who's got 20 starts at a 3.37 ERA. He's pitched well, 2.1 wins above replacement, going to be a free agent. And look, you might even want to re-sign him after this year if he does a good job. You might want to re-sign him with, Bumgarner money off the books. You might want to, most of it off the books. You might want to sign a guy like that and have him slide into your rotation.
I worry about the market being skewed right now because it's such a seller's market. I mean, Giolito, again, to bring him up, should not have cost the Angels 2 of their top 5 prospects, but it did because they wanted him so desperately. Of course, the White Sox are like, you're going to give us 2 top prospects for Giolito? Absolutely.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's what the market is setting at, and other teams are going to want quality veteran starters at the deadline here, you wonder if now the price for a guy like Montgomery is going to go up too high for what Mike Hazen is going to be willing to give for a guy like that. Now, moving to a closer like David Bednar, I mean, with 3 years of control.
And that's a great name.
And he's a 2-time All-Star and one of the best closers in the game. You want to start talking about top 5 prospects? You start talking about top 5 prospects, especially for a position of need for the Arizona Diamondbacks, because having a guy like that can finally close the door after 6 years of wandering through the wilderness without a guy that can consistently do that has cost you game after game after game after game. Gambo, I'm willing to give up a top prospect. Maybe not the top prospects, but a combination of top 6 prospects for a closer like that. I think it might be time. Because remember, it's not just a rental. It's not just for, do you believe this team is good enough? This is a guy that matches the timeline of an up-and-coming team and can be your closer for the next 3 seasons.
And might be able to just solidify it.
Yes.
Look, it's just the amount of guys that they've gone out and tried. Me and you were talking during the break about Melanson. Like, they went out and signed Melanson, 2-year deal. Okay, finally, let's get a guy. And he was terrible. He was so bad. And then he got hurt, and he can't pitch. But, they did go out and try to get Milan. The year before they got Melanson, he led the league in saves. Like, oh, finally they got a guy that can close a baseball game. And then he gets here and he can't close a game. But
this guy can. I mean, he's got a 1.35 ERA. I think he's 15 for his last 15 in save opportunities.
It's this. You can't do better. I don't think. I don't think because of the contract, the control, and the success. I don't know that you could do better than him. But that's going to be a high price, right? I mean, we talk about relievers being able to get a middle reliever, and you don't have to give up a lot. If you want to get him, because this guy might finally be the answer, the long answer to the bullpen problems for the next 3 or 4 years if you're able to go make a trade for him.
But he's a guarantee. He's a sure thing. Your prospects, as highly ranked as they may be, are not. And this is not exactly a Dansby Swanson for Shelby Miller type deal. This guy's a guaranteed, barring injury, guaranteed. 2-time All-Star, closer. Talking to one of my buddies who's a Pirates fan. Every time he takes the ball, how much care he shows. Lights up the mound, lights up the arena. He's a Pittsburgh native, which would probably suck for him getting dealt from the Pirates.
Right.
But the care he shows in his craft resonates off this guy every time he takes the ball.
He's 28 years old, and he's not going to be a free agent until 2027. So you'd have him for this year and then 3 more years. And you're right. I mean, this isn't a one fluke guy. This isn't a 1-year wonder type guy. This is a guy that's done it for a few years now. So I think that there's definitely interest in Bednar. And I do think that Jordan Montgomery is high on their list. I know the asking price right now is very high for Jordan Montgomery. So I do know the asking price is very high. But I do think that Jordan Montgomery is somebody that they are trying to get.
The pitching is so bad right now, Gambo. I'd almost be fine if they put all of their trade resources into starter, bullpen, closer, and ignored the offense at this point. Like, whatever you got to do.
One starter, 2 relievers?
Yeah, and say,
may get you over the top.
We'll sacrifice the bat. The offense has actually been coming around lately. I mean, they've been averaging, I think, close to 6 runs a game over the last 10, which has been, it's a small sample size, but a hell of a lot better than we saw for a few weeks there when they couldn't score 3 runs a game.
Yeah, they went a couple of weeks where they couldn't hit it all, and it was a problem, and a lot of people started asking about offensive players, but they've always been after the pitching. So they've got a lot of prospects, but, yeah, keep your eye on those names. Definitely, the Diamondbacks definitely have interest in Jordan Montgomery, but the asking price right now is pretty high, so we'll see if that comes down over the next couple of days. And then also David Bednar, as a closer from the Pirates, is another name that there's a lot of interest in. I imagine the price for him is extremely high. I'll try to find out more, but those are 2 good names for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You are seeing other teams around you, the Dodgers. You're seeing teams make moves.
Starting to happen. One guy who's not going anywhere, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani's not going anywhere.